Hello and welcome to Titanfall. Silrace here with a guide for the XO-16 Chaingun for your Titans. So if you are playing Titanfall, you are quite familiar with this weapon. It is part of one of the default loadouts for the Titans, and it's also, well, comes unlocked for you without needing to actually unlock it by leveling up to get it. So it's nice like that, and it is also pretty damn good weapon. Basically, this gun has the highest sustained damage out of every Titan weapon out there. Let's just say that. Notice the word sustained. You will do a lot of damage if you can hit the weak spots on enemy Titans, the glowy red bits, with every bullet, and if you can just hold down the mouse button, as in hold down the trigger, and keep firing. You will do more damage than, for example, the 40mm cannon will do in the same amount of time. But the individual bullets themselves, if you fire just one round, it doesn't do much damage, and especially so if you do not hit the weak point on a hostile Titan. If you hit it anywhere else beside the weak point, you are going to do very little damage per bullet. But if you can keep firing without being interrupted for whatever reason, then you will do a lot of damage. The weapon deals very well also with infantry, both the AI bots and spectres and grunts, as well as actual pilots on foot. You can pretty easily shoot them even while they are running all over the place. The weapon is rather accurate and easily controlled. And you even have a bit of a zoom with the essentially aiming down sights by hitting the right mouse button, and you have a bit of a zoom to help sniping from a distance if that is something you want to do with a machine gun. As for the actual loadouts and attachments and stuff, let's touch on the attachments first for this thing. So there are essentially two. There is absolutely nothing wrong with extended magazines. You probably unlock that first anyway, and it is outright an upgrade, right? 30 bullets extra doesn't sound bad, obviously. You want more bullets to go down range, this is what you do. The accelerator, however, is well, there is a negative side to it, which I will also talk about. It essentially makes it so that your firing speed ramps up, okay? It takes a bit longer to get to faster speed than you would normally get with a just extended mags or without any accessory whatsoever. However, once you reach that maximum firing speed, you will do even more damage, and you have a higher magazine count, obviously, because you will burn through ammo faster, so it adds more bullets to your gun than the extended magazines does anyway. However, there is a negative to this attachment, and this is the reason I don't personally use it, or rather didn't find it very useful. Because if you are interrupted from firing for whatever reason, you have to go into cover, you have to, well, use one of your defensive tools such as vortex shield or force field, or an enemy does something which prevents you from firing at them, such as going into cover or such, and you have to stop firing for a moment. That means you will have to go through the ramp up period once again. And if you go against very mobile enemies, such as there being, for example, 3 striders on the enemy team who are dashing all over between cover and cover, you might have to stop firing quite often. Also comes the issue when you are hunting pilots and there is no Titan to fire at. Because in this case, you will need to ramp up the shots to actually be able to kill the pilot, because it doesn't die to a single shot. And so they might be able to escape, whereas if you didn't have the accelerator, they might not have been able to escape, because you are shooting the first couple bullets much slower pace. So there is that. And for this reason, let's talk about loadouts. For this reason, if you want to use accelerator as your accessory for this to get the maximum firing speed once the ramp up period is done, the first, let's say, couple seconds or so, you don't want to use any ability which prevents you from firing as your tactical ability. Vortex Shield or Force Field. Well, Force Field obviously doesn't stop you from firing, but you will be firing into your own force field. So that might be a bit of a silly move to do. So you want to use smoke, electric smoke in that case. Electric smoke in general is a really good compromise between the two, and it provides all sorts of situational and tactical possibilities, but in this case you definitely want to use electric smoke. If you are using extended magazines or just don't have an accessory yet to put on your weapon, then Force Field or Vortex Shield works just fine. Either of those is absolutely fine because you don't have to worry about the ramp up period. You always have the same firing speed as soon as you start firing. So it doesn't matter if you interrupt your firing for a short moment. As for pairing this with certain kinds of ordnance, personally I like something which helps deal with hostile titans. I have been trying to experiment because this gun, it is very versatile. It deals pretty well with both titans and infantry. So I have been switching between cluster missile and slaved warheads myself. I've been using both, and it depends on how I feel. To be outright honest with you, do I want to deal with titans today? Then I'll take slaved warheads. Or do I feel like this round I might have to deal with a lot of titans? Whatever. Then it's slaved warheads. Otherwise it's probably cluster missiles, because that is really good at clearing rooms, since this is a direct fire weapon and you cannot fire ballistically into, for example, buildings, but if you fire a cluster missile in there, into a building, then you probably are clearing that level of the building, because no one is going to stay alive in the room the missile lands in. Overall, I quite like the chain gun myself. I've been switching weapons around quite a lot. And also, to end this whole video with, this is the weapon you want to put on your Titan if you are going to run around as a pilot and just using Auto Titan. Frankly, the AI which controls Auto Titan doesn't do very well with weapons such as the triple threat and these things. You want to put the chain gun on it because it at least seems to work with the chain gun pretty consistently. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this guide was helpful for getting going with your chain guns.